Bam. What is going on, guys? Welcome to fourth quarter. I know we're live on YouTube. So right now we're talking about the Sweet 16 tournament. I'm not gonna lie, Craig. What's your thoughts on it so far? I feel like it was more upsets this year than it's been in a while. Because the 16, right? They upsetted the number one seed. That was since UMBC 2018. I just thought it was, maybe just one or two more. Not crazy more, maybe one or two more than I'm used to seeing. Did you see that, or you just think it was just?
I don't think there's been more upsets. I could be wrong. I would have to go look back compared to last year's in the Sweet 16. I know, because Carolina upset teams. St. Peter's got all the way to the Elite Eight, and they were 15, and they were in the same bracket, so they ended up playing Carolina, who was 8, I believe. So, I don't know. I don't know if there was more upsets. It's just always, there's always going to be, there was no 5-12 or upsets this year. So that's the thing we look forward to seeing. I think they have at least one of the biggest, the 12 upset in the 5.
They do. That's big.
Percentages. So, you normally look for a 12 to beat a 5. But, we had some good upsets this year. Obviously, it's the 16 beating the 1 and the 15 beating the 2. And those, I didn't pick Purdue, but I did pick Arizona to go far.
Which is crazy. Both upsets were crazy.
I think Arizona has the most double-digit seed losses in tournament history. So, I think I'm never going to pick them again. Purdue,
they got the most double. So you're telling me that
I think it's 5 or 6, 5 double digits.
Damn, so they've been beaten by a 10 seed or a 12 seed. Wow.
I believe that's
not cool.
Purdue, I didn't really have any faith in them. Just the style of play, but I didn't think they were going to get beat by 16. And then Virginia. Virginia is another team just like Purdue and Arizona, where they I don't know, they just get to the tournament and it just seems to just blow up on themselves.
Which is crazy.
What happens? I know they have a championship a few years ago, but they lost to a 16. They lose the double-digit seeds, it seems like, every year. So I think Purdue has lost to a 15, a 16, and a 13 the last 3 tournaments. Virginia is kind of the same thing, except for the championship game or the championship that they won. And I told you about Arizona. So I was really just hoping for some buzzer beaters. I can't remember the last time there's been a buzzer beater. There's been shots that went down to the wire or close to the 1 or 2 seconds left, but not an actual walk off.
Yeah.
So I was looking forward to that. It hasn't happened so far, but obviously seeing teams like Duke and NC State and Virginia lose. Maryland, same thing. I don't like any of those schools. Kansas, Kentucky. The only team left that I can't stand is Gonzaga. I want them as soon as they're gone.
Oh, yeah, you definitely don't like Gonzaga, yo.
I just think they're overrated every year. I don't know. I'm so sick.
Is it me or that player has been there 7 years?
Timmy's been there for a while.
They need to check his eligibility. I'm serious, man. He's been there for a while, man.
Well, since COVID, you have a 5th-year eligibility if you're a senior. So I know Armando Bacot, who's playing for Carolina, he's coming back for his 5th year.
Okay.
He's not going to be high draft pick anyway, and I'm glad he's coming back because Carolina's horrible. But as far as the tournament, yeah, I've been really into it. It's good to see some of these teams because it's no blue. This is the first time I think it's been happened. I think it's happened 3 or 4 times where there hasn't been any, as far as Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, or Kansas made it to the Sweet 16. It's
yeah,
the 4th time.
And last year, all 4 of them made it, right? Which is so funny. Did last year all 4 of them made it?
Possibly. I can't.
I know Carolina. I know y'all beat Duke in
Final Four.
Final Four. Kansas was in the championship.
Yeah, so that's 3. Yeah,
probably. That was surprising.
It's just the fact that I think a lot of these schools are. Obviously, teams like Duke and Kansas and Kentucky, they get the one and dones, and other teams who have seniors and then the transfer portal, and then you have guys who have offer to keep their 5th-year option and stay for another year. So you have that versus you have that experience versus teams that don't have experience or relying on freshmen to take them far into the tournament. And I just think this year, maybe in a couple of years, it'll work itself back out where it'll be the blue bloods, the top 4, Duke, Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas again. But as far as this year, like I'm happy to see some of these teams that you really like. Alabama's a football school. They're the number 1 seed. Like you don't see that too often.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just looking forward to another couple of really good games tomorrow night and Friday night, and then over the weekend, and then see where it goes. But I'm always happy with the tournament. Whether my team is in it or not, I'm going to still watch.
Yeah.
I just have the teams that I root against. I think my brother is a Michigan State fan, so I'm rooting for them.
Oh yeah, they're still in it. Yep.
So they're the only Big Ten school left. They had 8 teams. They down to 1, which is embarrassing. But I'm just looking forward to a couple of really good games and see who's gonna win the championships, because the defending champion is out. The team who won the championship last year didn't even make it. The runner up. So like I said, I think, like I said, to me, this is the best tournament in sports. If I had any tournament to watch, it would be this one.
I agree.
I like the one and done, just like in football, one and done rule. With so many teams, though, obviously you can't do a best 7. So it's always good because on any given night, like you say, football, any given Sunday, just like any given day, if you want to call it, you can just get beat if you're not playing up to your standards. So ready to see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. It's a pretty good. This might be different. Texas, Xavier, Houston, Alabama, Tennessee, UCLA. This is UConn hasn't been there in a while. This is gonna be different. So Corey, I know you're pick Purdue, but
yeah, like I know I probably shouldn't have picked Purdue, but I did not expect them to go down to a 16, let alone a 16 seed that didn't even win their conference tournament to get into the dance. That's probably the worst loss in tournament history. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know college basketball, so it's been fun to watch some of the games.
Mm-hmm.
As a Midwesterner, I like Izzo. I'm kind of rooting for Michigan State.
Yeah.
Also for everything that campus has been through this year.
Oh yeah.
Having the school shooting and everything.
Yeah, my fraternity brother works on Michigan State campus actually. So.
So yeah, they're an easy story to root for this year. Yeah. Otherwise, at this point, I want the lowest seed to win every game.
Yeah,
the more chaos, the better.
You know what? I'm gonna kind of agree with Craig. Like, Princeton in the Sweet 16 is cool, and I submitted 3, right? So I picked Alabama, that's different. Houston is different. Creighton, haven't seen them in a while. Michigan State, it'll be awesome if they win. I do like Michigan State. I like Izzo. I do, man. UCLA hasn't been here in a while. So I like it, man. We're going to go down and just pick the winners. I'm not asking for any diagnosis because this is college basketball. I'm not saying breakdown and this who's playing guard and center. I mean, of course, people that are NBA picks, but I'm gonna start off and then I'm gonna swing it around. Alabama versus San Diego State. I'm going with Alabama. I just think they got a really good team. I think they have one of the best teams in the country, and I picked them in one of my brackets to win. Craig, who you got, Alabama or San Diego State?
this might be tough one for Alabama. I think San Diego State has size, but I think I'm going to pick Alabama. It should be a good game.
It's going to be a good one. It's going to be good. I can't wait. I cannot wait to all of them come on Friday night. So this is going to be interesting.
Some of them play tomorrow.
Oh, some of them play tomorrow? Yeah. Oh, yeah, bet. Oh, yeah, Kansas and Michigan State. Corey, who do you have with Alabama and San Diego State?
Alabama?
That's what
I know nothing about
me
these
neither.
teams, so
I don't either, Corey. It's a shot in the dark.
100%.
Don't worry. Craig, listen, Craig and Mo know probably a lot about these teams. I know because they're ranking. So you're not alone, Corey. If we did any in-depth analysis, I'm letting Craig do that.
Right.
A segment by itself. All right, so let's do Houston versus Miami. I like Miami, but I think I'm gonna go with Houston. If their players back, I don't know. So Houston plays really good defense, and they went far last year. So I'm just sticking with them. You got the same, Craig?
Yeah, Houston's defense is crazy. It's ridiculous. It's suffocating. So I got to go with Houston.
Yeah, Corey, who you have? Houston or Miami?
I guess Houston.
Yep. Elvin Sampson. I knew that was a head coach. He's a good head coach. All right. Creighton versus Princeton. I'm going Princeton with the upset, man. Princeton is going to the Elite Eight versus Creighton. Who you got, Craig?
I want to pick Creighton, but I think I'm just stick with Princeton just because I just want to see another 15 go far, I guess.
Yeah.
And that would be like two different styles going up against Alabama. So I want to see what happens there.
Yeah. Corey, who you picking, Creighton or Princeton?
I'll go Creighton.
Yeah. And if Creighton's a 6 seed, so it's like they upset Baylor. You know? Yeah, that was crazy. All right, Xavier versus Texas. I'm gonna go Xavier. Just to keep it balanced. Who do you have, Xavier versus Texas, Craig?
I got Texas. I like Texas. I like what they're doing this year. Come a long way since Shaka Smart left.
Oh yeah, I thought he was still on there, and then I found out he was on Marquette.
Yeah,
I had to look it up. That's how old I'm. That's how Corey. I didn't even know. I was like, is he still there?
I didn't realize he was at Marquette.
Me neither. I had to look him up. So Corey, who do you have, Xavier versus Texas?
Xavier.
Yeah, man. Keep it spicy. FAU versus Tennessee. I'm gonna go Tennessee. You know, I'm only picking Tennessee because I know Corey likes them, and one of my old friends, he used to serve at Matchbox, is a big Tennessee fan. So I've seen him. I'll be rooting for him. So I'm gonna root for Tennessee. Craig, who do you have, FAU or Tennessee?
Tennessee has really good defense. FAU, man, it's just nonstop shooting for this. They shoot a lot of threes. So I'm going to go FAU because I'm hoping that their threes are on.
Okay. They're one of those teams. They live and die by the three.
Oh my God, they shoot a lot of between like that game against Fairleigh Dickinson. It was so many threes getting chucked up. It was exciting though until like the last couple of minutes, and then that's when FAU pulled away. But I like Tennessee because they beat Duke, but their defense is just crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going FAU.
Corey, who you picking, FAU or Tennessee?
Gotta go Tennessee.
Tennessee, right? Yeah, man. Kansas State versus Michigan State. I'm going Michigan State just because I like Izzo. A lot of NBA players went there. I like too. You know, Draymond crazy self went there, but not only him, but it was a couple. I just like Michigan State. I like him as a coach, man. So I hope he goes far. Who do you got? Kansas State or Michigan State?
I really want to pick Michigan. I think I'm gonna stick with Michigan State. That's the team that I said I was rooting for the rest of the tournament. But Kansas State, man, they got a really good guard on that team. He's a monster. But I mean, if he gets going, it's going to be tough for Michigan State. I'm gonna go Michigan State just because I'm picking my brother's team.
Yeah, I like that. Corey, you got of course you know
That's
you got
Birdie.
Yep, Michigan State. Arkansas versus UConn. I think I'm gonna go UConn just because I like them. I think they've been playing pretty good this year, and they haven't been in a tournament in a while. So I think this is a good year, good chance for them to go pretty far. So I'm picking UConn. Who do you have? UConn versus Arkansas, Craig?
I got the Huskies. I think this is a really good year for them to win the tournament.
Yeah,
I think they have a really good team all around. I think they can win the whole thing. So I'm going UConn.
Yeah. Corey, who you got? UConn or?
Guess I got to go UConn then.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They've been playing pretty good. And the last one, Gonzaga versus UCLA. I'm going to pick UCLA. Not just because I don't like Gonzaga, but I picked them to get upset by TCU. So they need to. I think they're going to lose to UCLA. And the UCLA UConn might be a really good game. Craig, who you got? Because Gonzaga, UCLA.
I got UCLA. I don't like Gonzaga. And UCLA, despite they lost a player early in the season, he's one of the best players. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but they still were able to get this far and have this great season. So they haven't really lost a step. Gonzaga's really good though, but I'm going UCLA.
Corey, you got Gonzaga or UCLA?
Gonzaga.
It makes sense. They get pretty far every year. They do. I give them that. They do.
They have a cake conference. This year their conference was a lot better. I'll give them that.
It was?
It was way better than it has been in years. But it's also the first time in like 10 years they actually scheduled a true road game outside of a neutral site or obviously in Washington. Finally they had a road game. I'm happy for them. But
and the bracket was tough too, I think.
10 years. I mean, you got to go like 10. And the last time they actually played somebody on the road was Texas Tech, I believe, or Texas A&M, and they were terrible.
And they usually get put in a soft bracket, but this year their bracket was. I don't think
they're not a number one seed because they didn't go undefeated in the conference and have a cake schedule because they finally had a road game. I mean, granted, they play other teams like non-conference teams, neutral sites. But this is the first year. I can't remember who they played, but they played a true road game. Thank you. Finally.
That's crazy. They'll be playing road games.
I'm just so sick of Gonzaga, man. I'm tired.
They working. I don't know how they didn't play road games.
I mean, they do play road games. They're just not. I should say
they just play in the conference road games.
They're not playing against top talent, like because they're usually weak. So normally, that you have to play really good road competition or really good non-conference competition. Yeah. And normally, what they do is they play them on neutral sites or they play them at home. I think this year they played Texas. I could be wrong. I gotta look at the schedule, but they played some team on the road this year, and obviously Texas was a good team. Yeah, it's at Texas. Early in the season, they got beat by 19. That's what I'm saying. So they'll play some of these teams like Duke or Baylor or whatever, but they're all usually at a neutral site. So
that's what it is. Yeah, and listen, college basketball and college football, home field matters a lot. The atmosphere is different when you play in Duke versus Chapel Hill versus a neutral site. You know what I'm saying? I will say that the atmosphere in college is different.
I just want them to go to the Pac-12. That's it. they go to the Pac-12, I won't have nothing else to say.
You think they will?
I doubt it, but I mean, it would be nice because the Pac-12 is going to lose UCLA and USC soon. So to offset that and bring in some more like good teams, you could bring in Gonzaga, and you could bring in, I don't know, BYU or Santa Clara or
BYU might be good. Yeah,
I don't know. Let's bring somebody. San Diego State, do something. Like bring some other teams in to go along with like Arizona and Oregon and all these other Pac-12
to beef up the conference. Yeah,
basically.
That especially matters in college basketball and football. It does.
Whatever.
It does. All right, Corey. Let me ask you this. Let's talk about the NFL. Okay. Cam Newton came out, and all 32 teams were there at his pro day, but he was throwing. It was Auburn's pro day, but he was throwing for his little brother. Now, he did say the NFL is hiring randoms, and there's not 32 quarterbacks better than me. Can't repeat the language. It's the family-friendly program. Didn't used to be, though. Now, Corey, do you see a team taking the flyer on Cam Newton?
I don't know. Look, I don't know that it's true anymore that there aren't 32 quarterbacks better than Cam Newton at this point in his career. The last time we saw him on a field, it wasn't pretty. I think the time has taken its toll on him. The hits, it looked like he'd never really fully recovered from that shoulder injury. And at age 33, I think the most that you're signing him for is as a backup. But then there's still those questions lingering with just his personality and everything. Is he going to be willing to embrace the role of a backup? And, it is really hard for a quarterback that, an MVP winner, someone that successful and that good to be able to embrace the role of taking the step back and pushing someone else and helping someone else. So it's, not necessarily a knock to say that he isn't able to do that, but because he's not the only one that would have that issues historically, but I don't know that is. I think that, if he would come out and be like, I'm willing to mentor a young quarterback, then I think somebody would. I think potentially like whoever takes Anthony Richardson, like having a guy like Cam behind him in his ear and being able to walk him through stuff, I think would be really helpful because of the similar play style. Chicago with Justin Fields, I think same. But if you have to worry about the ego and him pushing for playing time and stuff like that, when just his body of work at this point in his career doesn't say that he probably should be a starter anymore, I think teams will probably pass.
Yeah, I think he could be. It's a very interesting question. Is he not better than 32? He's healthy. I would actually like to see him get a job in the NFL. Starting, I think he might be better than some quarterbacks. I'm not saying 15, maybe 25. No, maybe 5 or 6, like in the 25 range. And I get it. I think at this point in his career, all 32 teams coming out is good, whether it's for him or his brother. I think a team should take a flyer on him. Nick Wright on First Things First had a great idea. He said, come to Kansas City. You'll win a ring. You'll be back up to Mahomes. It's a good fit for you. Mahomes doesn't do no quarterback sneaks. Ever since I think it was against the Titans and he busted his knee, he doesn't do. If y'all notice, he hasn't done a quarterback sneak in 3 years.
And I think Andy Reid would get creative and have a package for Cam too.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So I think that's like a good idea. I would like to see him in the league. I would like to see him. As a starter, let's just hope he's healthy, because the last time he did okay in New England and then he didn't. It's like, we talk about Daniel Jones, not having 15 touchdowns. He had 8, but it was during COVID and he got COVID early. And then he came for Carolina. And I think when he went to Carolina, he was hurt. So if he's healthy right now and, he says he can play, then I would take a flyer on him. But listen, we know this for now, like the way that it's like Cam Newton's 33, man, I gotta stop. I don't know. I would take a flyer on him
Do you want the Commanders to sign him?
Would I want the Commanders to sign him? Yeah, he could come in and compete. Dude, start him, and then we can get Caleb Williams. So you know what? He would definitely compete. That's what I'm saying. If we signed him, he would be competing. He would be competing. I wouldn't just throw him like, oh no, he's not going to compete. But if he goes to somebody like Kansas City or Buffalo, or Miami, I think it'll be option for him to play. But he has to be healthy and he has to dedicate himself. He has to dedicate himself to the game. I don't know, Craig. What you think?
If you're asking me, do I think Cam Newton is better than 32 starters?
Yeah,
he's better than 32 starters. Not all of them, but he's better.
Not all of them, right? He's better than
Desmond Ridder. You can't tell me he's not better than. To me, he's not better than him.
But if I had to pick between Desmond Ridder and Cam Newton week 1 next year, I'm picking Desmond Ridder.
Picking Cam Newton. Sorry.
Ridder, there's at least questions that he could do something. Cam, I know, isn't going to do anything.
I'm not believing in Desmond Ridder. Colt McCoy, I don't believe in him. Whoever the starter is in Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona.
David,
Arizona.
His name is. I'm not buying that. So I'm just not. I can't. I'm not falling for that. So if you're telling me, I think if he's not better than 32 overall quarterbacks, probably not.
Yeah, if he's better than them.
I would take some backups over him, like Garner Minshew, for example, or I don't know.
That's a good point. Arizona could sign him.
Like a Nick Foles or somebody like that. I don't think so, but I think he's better than some of these starting quarterbacks right now, especially team like I said a few seconds ago. Arizona. What have you got to lose?
Is Colt McCoy even coming? Is he coming back?
I don't know. That's what I was trying to figure out.
I think he retired.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Arizona needs to sign him.
They still have him on the depth chart. At least ESPN does. I don't know, but they also have Kyler Murray as the starter right now. So, and I don't think he's going to be able to start before the season starts. I mean, I think you can just start if you go get Cam Newton, put him on the Cardinals. I mean, you're probably going to be picking high anyway. You're not going to win.
That's actually pretty. Arizona might be a good spot for him, actually.
Now, outside of a few teams, I don't think he could be a starter anymore. I like Cam. I think he's like one of the most physical, intimidating type of quarterbacks that's ever played. Obviously, he's won an MVP, took the team to a 15-1 record, to a Super Bowl. Had a really good offense, led the team and everything like that. But he has obviously inaccuracy issues. His mechanics has always been weird to me. And he's taken a lot of hits throughout his career. I think he can still do a couple of things. Now, to me, the Proday doesn't do anything for me because I'm just not that. I don't believe in too highly in Prodays or combines. So I've seen Cam Newton over the last couple of years. I mean, when he was with Carolina last time, he went 0-5 as a starter. He had like 4 touchdowns to 5 interceptions.
But Craig, to your point, Arizona's starting quarterback is David Blau.
That's what I'm saying. So I think I don't think worse than David Blau or David, however you say his last name. I'm not buying it. So
I think Colt McCoy's going to retire.
Out there, he's at least better than one, and that's the one as of now. Now, if Kyler Murray was on the team, obviously, no. So, and then obviously these other teams that are going to get a quarterback. But I'm still sticking with Ritter and David Blau, whatever, him. Everybody else, I probably would take everybody else at this point.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying, Corey. It's that's why I said like 25. It's a couple teams like
that might be a little high.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, 28. Let's give them 30. Let's give them 30.
Maybe Cam is better than like Ritter 30. Or what's his name that's in Houston. I'm taking those guys. Like if I have the choice between a 33-year-old Cam and a 24-year-old guy in his second or third year, I'm going to take the young guy.
Well, Houston and the Colts are drafting. So right. I'm not excluding the Panthers, the Colts, or Houston. But Arizona, definitely I would look into that.
I mean, what does Arizona got to lose at this point? They're about to probably trade their best wide receiver.
Yeah.
He just lost J.J. Watt. He retired.
And they lost one of their standout defensive guys, man.
I mean, pretty much.
He was on Hard Knocks next to J.J. Watt, learning from him, and he signed somewhere else.
They won 4 games last year, including 7 in a row that they lost. So I don't see the harm in at least giving him a look, I guess, or bring him in, see what he still has, put him out there in a preseason game or something like that, have him go up against David, whoever else you sign. I mean, I don't see the harm in it, especially since the team is going nowhere. So, and if Cam plays, you're probably going to have a number 1 overall pick. Then you can draft a quarterback, you can trade it out or whatever because people are going to be wanting it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know.
Oh man, I can't figure out who they lost, but they lost a very good defensive end in free agency. Oh man, he was really good, but they haven't been doing nothing in free agency. To be honest, it looks like they're about to just.
I mean, would you?
It looks like they're going to be all in. Zach Allen, they lost him. And he had a breakout year. Defensive end Zach Allen.
I would be looking to say, okay, I'm not doing nothing either with no Trace McSorley. I don't even think he's on the team anymore. I could be wrong. I think he might still be on the team, but either way, Trace McSorley is your backup to David Blau.
I don't know what Arizona's doing. They haven't done. I think they're gonna. You know what I would do if I was Arizona? I would trade the number 3 pick and then go into next season with no expectations.
Who has expectations for him?
Yeah, none. Because at this point, man, it's looking like
I don't even know if I would have any expectations. I don't have any expectations for them if Kyler Murray was healthy. I didn't have any high expectations for him last year. I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs. I think he was going to lose 7 in a row and 4 games and win only 4 games. But
yeah, damn, this is going to be crazy. I don't know what they're doing. That's all I know. I don't know what they're doing. It really seems like they're probably going to trade this year's pick, the stockpile picks. They're in the running for the number 1 pick next year. And because Kyle Murray's contract doesn't come up until it doesn't kick in until 2024. Oh man. So I guess they'll trade the number 1 or number 2 pick they get next year. Because that's what it looks like to me. Corey, am I missing something? I don't
think so.
Them out. You don't think they would? You don't think they're going to be the worst team in the NFL?
I don't know. I mean, it'll depend on how the quarterback situation shakes out this year as well.
Yeah. So if Kyler doesn't come back until right.
If Kyler misses a good chunk of the season and they don't get somebody better, then yeah, they'll be front runners for the number 1 pick, I think. But
it depends, because right now they can't. I mean, they could trade Kyler Murray, but I think he has a no trade clause in his contract, and it doesn't kick in until 2024.
Well, they're playing the NFC East and the AFC North, so
yeah.
I mean, yeah, but like if the Ravens were to lose Lamar, I think the Ravens would have a shot at competing for the number 1 pick.
Yeah. And the AFC. Oh,
I would assume that if they lose Lamar, I would assume they're going to get a number 1 draft pick back. But I would hope to think that they get a higher draft pick so that way they can get a quarterback or something like that. Like say they go to the Colts, you get 2 number 1 picks back, Colts picking 4.
Yeah, but if teams wait until after the draft to start those conversations,
I mean that's stupid. Well,
yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Or
now.
You're giving up your first round picks in each of the following 2 years with Lamar as your quarterback. Like I would give up the 25th or later pick for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, that's what teams are waiting. They're waiting for after. That's what I'm hearing, Craig. They're waiting after this draft. So they're like, listen, we'll trade the 24 and 25th pick because if you get Lamar, Colts get Lamar, they're going to be really good. You're going to be picking at the bottom 20, so it's almost a second round pick. So I think a lot of teams are waiting because now reports are starting to surface.
Right. Okay. So say
you know what I'm saying. So I think teams are waiting. I'm not sure.
So you couldn't trade them for a quarterback. Couldn't have been in. I know they get the number 1 picks or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be able to sign and trade them for a quarterback or however you want to do it. Like say the Colts pick Richardson or somebody. I don't know, and then
I don't know. I don't know how that works.
I mean, at that point, the Colts wouldn't need Richardson.
So you would say, so you would say the Colts trade Richardson, and then they would give them their 20. I gotta look it up because
it seemed like.
So you're saying if the Colts trade Richardson for Lamar and then another number 1, which would be 2024. I guess it could. I guess I don't know. This could have been discussed in the combine, Craig. So you could be right.
I don't know. I'm spitballing. I'm just throwing.
Yeah, I don't know. You could.
I don't know how it works. I don't know. But I was just throwing it out there.
I know Kyle Murray has in 2024 he has base salary of 37 with a dead cap hit of $81 million.
Has to mean he ain't going anywhere.
I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think if he doesn't play a lick this year and they get the number 1 pick, they're not going to draft Drake May or Caleb Williams or whoever is going to be. They're going to trade it because no team is going to take that. No team. Yeah. Smart by his agent. That's smart by his agent.
Arizona would be essentially saddled with dead cap hits for a good chunk of the rookie contract.
Yeah.
So it would offset anyways.
Yeah. Jeez, man. Well, this agent was smart. He was like, oh, it kicks in 2024. Well, it's going to be interesting. This draft's going to be interesting. All right, so let's talk about Craig, let me ask you this. Running back. We've seen this happen live. Austin Ekler came out and he said the running back position has been devalued. We've seen it in recent years where teams aren't picking running backs in the first round. They're waiting. Let me ask you, so it's 2 questions. The first question, Craig, in your opinion, why do you think the running back position has been devalued?
I think you can get a running back as long as it's in the right system and you have a solid offensive line.
Yeah,
you can put a running back just about anywhere. Like you seen what's the guy that's in Kansas City?
that's what everybody says. Pacheco.
Yeah, him. I can't remember his name. You see how good he's doing, or how good he did with that team, and he was a late round pick.
Yeah,
it doesn't. I mean, not all first round pick running backs or second round pick running backs hit, and you can just plug and play. You can have a 2-back system like we've seen with the Packers or the Browns. Like I think Dillon could start somewhere. I think Hunt obviously has started somewhere else. I think he can start somewhere else. But you have a 2-back system, which a lot of teams are. Some players like Henry. I think he needs another back because they're wearing him out. But and obviously they're trying to trade him or at least that's the rumor. Like they're trying to just abandon ship basically. But I just think that you can plug and play a lot of these running backs as long as the system is good. And I mean, obviously the lifespan on running or the span on running backs in the NFL is short. Take a lot of hits, get a lot of carries for the most part, but you take a lot of hits. You get beat up. So now you probably gonna see if you're like Todd Gurley is a good example to me. Like Todd Gurley was.
Oh, I love Todd Gurley.
Really good couple years when he was with the Rams, and then all of a sudden it just fell off, and he hasn't been in the league since.
I think he retired.
He had a really good start to his career, and it just dropped off. So obviously
it was kind of like Zeke, right?
Yeah, same exact thing. These guys, they obviously they get hurt a lot. It's easy for them to get hurt, easier for them to get hurt. And you can always just bring like the next man up. And then as soon as you get the next man up and he has a solid year, like Tony Pollard, for example, Zeke is out the door. You pay him all this money, but then eventually he's going to be out the door. So I think it's going to be come to a point where it's going to be like, it's so easy for a lot of these teams to just go out and find a running back. Let's give them the ball, let them run up the middle, do whatever they got to do. And then that's it. You can just find them late in the draft now. You can find them probably on other teams as a backup, just pull them off that team or make them your own starter at that point. It's just the position, man. I don't know if it's ever going to get back to the days of like Barry Sanders or
Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson played a minute.
Daniel Tomlinson, all those guys.
Ray Gore,
Marshall Faulk. Like there's so many really good running backs back in the day, and there's still some decent ones, still some really good ones. But man, it's just not the same anymore. So I don't know who's going to be like the next big time running back to get that payday or have an opportunity to get that payday, but I don't think it's going to be a big contract or a long-term contract. Cause by the time you hit like 28 as a running back, 28 to like 30 or something like that, it's pretty much your time is pretty much done. Yeah. It's not like quarterback where you can play till you're 40 or 45.
Yeah. So 36 at the latest. 35 at the latest.
I guess if you're a freak, I guess like Adrian Peterson was, then but that's kind of rare to me because I don't know how many starting 35, 36-year-old running backs there are in the NFL or has been, especially recently.
Peterson and Frank Gore.
Yeah, that's it. Those are two Hall of Famers, man. They're the last ones of,
Yeah. So, it's a tough position to play. It's hard on the body. It's grueling. And these guys, man, I give them credit because it's a tough position and you don't last that long playing a running back in the NFL.
All right, before I ask the second question, let me ask Corey that. Why do you think the running back position is devalued? Because like Craig said, we grew up and we were watching the Marshall Falks, the Edgerrin James. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 90s into 2000s, your teams were built around the running game.
Yeah.
And I think Craig touched on one of the big ones is that running backs break down younger than the other skill positions in the NFL, receiver and tight ends. No team wants to be stuck with the next. I said Gurley and Elliott were the two examples I wrote down. Got the big deals, and then they were done. And it feels like running backs, there isn't a steady decline. It is their Pro Bowl, All Pro level, and then it's just they're done. It is a cliff that they hit.
Crazy.
And Craig also touched on the point that you're getting quality running backs later in the draft. Pacheco in Kansas City. Hunt was a 4th round pick.
Mm-hmm. Corey, your running back, who I like from Wisconsin.
Taylor
was a what? Second?
He was a 2nd rounder.
Yep.
And you look at Kansas City, 7th rounder. Pacheco's the starter. Edwards-Helaire, a 1st rounder. Nothing. But I also think it's partially because the way the NFL has evolved and the quarterback position has evolved in the league. Quarterbacks are coming in ready to play a bit sooner. I think it's a lot. Peyton Manning revolutionized the quarterback position in the NFL, and I think he has passed that down through like the Manning Passing Academy. You have these kids, like high schoolers, getting to work with guys like Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, and getting professional development at the quarterback position. You have quarterback coaches that are able to work with these guys. Like Jordan Palmer has become a pretty prolific one.
Yeah.
And so once quarterbacks are hitting the NFL, they're able to, the learning curve's a little less. They're able to be more productive a little earlier in their careers. And then you look at the rule changes that have happened in the NFL that just make it easier to throw the football. And honestly, in today's NFL, if you want to win, you have to be able to throw the football to score some points. Because unless you have a just dominant defense, you're not going to keep pace with a pass happy offense most games. So it's the value just isn't there with the salary cap, giving a ton of money to a guy that's production is going to likely steeply decline in a pretty short amount of time, combined with it's just the rules have changed. The NFL is different.
Yeah, so I agree with both of you. Got hit on some good points. I believe what Craig said. We grew up in the era where football was one. It is still one in the trenches, but it's just one differently. A running back. And it's so crazy. They used to get so much work and carries. It's kind of making me look at Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders, Adrian Peterson, and Edgerrin James a little bit differently, because the way that they were Frank Gore, the way that they're able to Marshall Faulk, like the way they were able to sustain as long as they played in a game where they were getting 25 plus carries. You know what I'm saying? For 9 to 10 years. So I do agree with Corey. The game is evolved. Right now it's a lot of offensive head coaches. And if you want to win, you got to have an offensive side of the ball. Shout out to Panthers. Tepper's seen it. Offensive-minded head coach, you're going to get a quarterback out the draft. That right there is you're setting yourself up in the future. Corey, you're going to get probably a quarterback out the draft. They hired an offensive-minded head coach. This is the way it's going. It's just there's nothing you can do about it. And now the NFL is talking about, instead of onside kicks, 4th and 20. You're definitely going to have a quarterback. You're definitely going to have to, because I could see teams like the Eagles, the Chiefs, Buffalo, Cincinnati, like, okay, let's give Burrow 4th and 20 with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Come on, man. But I do agree the game has evolved with the Manning Pass Academy. Also, from this perspective, colleges are adapting more of a pro system, and NFL is adapting more of the college with the pro system. They're talking to these quarterbacks more. What do you like to do? How you see things? You know, that goes for with Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. Like successful offensive coordinators are asking quarterbacks. They're sprinkling in complex, but the quarterbacks can understand because they like to do that. You know, so it's like, okay, Josh Allen, what do you like to do? You know, Joe Burrow, what do you like? Well, you know, I like to back fade here. Jamar Chase is open more here. They're starting to open up where in the old school, it was kind of like Belichick, like it's my way or the highway. And now, because the rules benefit the passing game more, Andy Reid is now, I mean, if he coaches another 10 years, he's in the conversation because of Patrick Mahomes, because of the way now it's geared towards offense and the way that Andy Reid listens and grinds and talks to his players, you know. So I do think that it's changed, and you know, it's even if you have a dominant defense, right? Look at San Francisco; they needed a quarterback. You gotta have a quarterback, you know. It's impossible, man.
I mean, look at Indianapolis 2 years ago. Jonathan Taylor had an MVP level season. He was that dominant, and poor quarterback play the last 3 weeks kept them out of the playoffs and tanked the season.
Yep. That's because if Wentz, right? Because it wasn't Phillip Rivers, right? This is what Wentz.
The Wentz season.
Right, because if Wentz played just a tad bit, if Wentz played like Phillip, might have went a little deeper.
Yep.
Might have.
Yeah, you know. If Rivers was there instead of Wentz, the way Taylor was playing.
Yeah.
But the quarterback play sunk him. And I think that's the best recent example that we've had. It shows just how much value the quarterback position has versus the running back in today's NFL. You were able to stay in games and be competitive with a dominant running game, but to make the playoffs and win, you got to have the quarterback.
You got to, man. Craig,
I don't see a team doing a 85 Bears where a guy like Jim McMahon can be your quarterback and get a win. Or even the 0-1 Ravens where Jamal Lewis carried that team and Trent Dilfer was there.
Not happening. That's not happening. That defense, I think, 10 points per game and rushing teams are averaging like 80 yards. It's not going to happen in this day and age. This is when you could hit people over the middle. You can't do that now. You can't do that now, man. Craig, Austin Ekler. Now I'm gonna. Now that he says he's underpaid. Now, crazy thing about Austin Ekler, he went undrafted, but back-to-back seasons, he's had at least 15 plus touchdowns. Right? 15 plus back-to-back seasons. Do you think the Chargers trade him, or they just say you got to play?
I mean, I think the Chargers hold the leverage here. So I don't know why you just wouldn't. Why they just wouldn't say you got to play or you're going to sit at this point. Obviously, it's not the NBA, man. Like the NBA, this guy would have been traded, or he would be traded eventually. Star player doesn't want to be there anymore. Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, James Harden, they're gone. Whatever the case may be. NFL is not. It's kind of getting there at one point. Or maybe last year was kind of like the tipping point, or maybe with guys like Devontae wanting to get traded, Harry wanting to get traded, stuff like that. So I think they kind of maybe have adapted the NBA style of thinking, at least last season. But it's going to be hard for them. I wouldn't trade him, man. He's one of your best players. Obviously, he wants to get paid, but like I just said, or we just talked about. He's 27, about to be 28 or something like that. He's getting to that age. Yeah, he's about to turn 28 in 2 months.
Yeah,
he's getting to that age where he's on that threshold of I don't want to give this guy a contract for more than maybe like 2 years, and I don't know what he's looking for. I didn't really, get into that. I didn't really see that, but
Yeah,
it's like a 4-year deal. I don't know, man, because he's going to. I would assume, as history has shown in the last 10 years or so, he's going to start slowing down, and he might break down. Start missing some games. No, he didn't miss any games the last 2 years. Maybe I think he missed one game or something like that 2 years ago. But so he's been pretty durable the last.
he's been durable,
and he's been putting up numbers. Obviously, if you're durable and you're starting back, you're going to be putting up numbers. But I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be paying a 27-year-old running back X amount of dollars when they could just get a 21 or 22-year-old to do the same thing. Now he's really good at what he does. He's one of the best all-around backs. He can run. He can catch out of the backfield. I think he had over 100 catches this season. So he can do multiple things. Like he's like Christian McCaffrey, basically.
Yeah.
Jack of all trades. You can catch and run. But I mean, after a certain point, you can find somebody who's going to. If he doesn't want to play for his contract, you can find somebody cheaper that will, and will probably do damn near almost as good as Austin Ekler has done. Now, he's probably not going to be Austin Ekler because Austin Ekler is who he is. But with this system that they have in LA, I think you can find a running back that can replace him. And I think at this point they probably will. It's just I think that the Chargers hold the leverage right now. Like I mean, if you don't want to play, you're not going to play. But I mean, if they wanted to get something back for him, obviously in return, that they could appease him and trade him somewhere where they can get compensation for him. Whether that's another running back or whether that's draft capital or whatever the case may be. But I just think he's going to play for the Chargers. I think some of these guys, they always try to play hardball, and then it's March. I mean, I don't really think anything's really going to come up from this except for he's going to end up still back on the Chargers. He's a really good player, but
yeah,
he's at that age, man. So he's right on the threshold of that age where it's just going to be hard to pay some of these guys X amount of dollars for being a running back in the NFL in 2023.
Corey, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think Craig kind of hit the nail on the head, and that the Chargers hold all the cards, really. I think Ekler is kind of in a similar situation to one we'll get to in a minute in DeAndre Hopkins, in that when I look around the NFL, who trades for him? I think if you're a team that feels like you're ready to make a run at a Super Bowl this season and you need a running back or don't have like a legit number one running back, Ekler could be appealing. But how much are you going to have to give up to get him? How much is he going to want if you do trade for him? And how much are you going to have to get up versus the production you could get from a 6th round pick? So I know he has that kind of specialized skill in that he can catch the ball and run between the tackles. He can do it all. And he's really good at catching the ball out of the backfield. And I think if you're going to have him, that needs to be a key part of your offense too, is getting the running back out in the routes. But yeah, I don't know who it would be. I think it likely ends up that the Chargers tweak his deal to get him a little bit more money, try to make him happy. But I feel like it's not a coincidence that no trade has developed so far.
Yeah, I agree with both of you, man. I don't think the Chargers are going to let him go. I think they're going to, because what's going to happen is they're going to say, go seek a trade, and no team is going to bite on it because of what we just talked about. He's at the cusp of the age. He might have 2 more years left. And then what history has shown us, because I like going by history, right? What history has shown us is a huge drop-off. And he might be different than that. But like Craig compared him to McCaffrey, McCaffrey's 26. Now, McCaffrey's missed more time, but McCaffrey's still younger. So he still has value at that position. He still has a good 4-year timeline. And then here's a crazy thing. Free agency, Miles Sanders, he had the biggest free agent contract, but it was an average value of $6.25 million. Nobody has signed Kareem Hunt yet. And you know the crazy thing? This draft is loaded with running backs. They've already been talking about it. This draft's loaded. It's one of those drafts with the tight end and the running backs are really good this year. So why, when I can draft somebody in the 3rd round, the 4th round, the 2nd round, the 5th round, and then let you walk next year and unfortunately replace you. The NFL is a rough business, man. But the vast majority of free agent running backs have signed for $4 million or less annually. So, and I don't think this is going to go anywhere. I think it's just, you got to be very young and very extraordinary and ask for an extension very early, like McCaffrey did, super early. But the way teams are approaching it, they're going to be like, no.
That's why there's a saying telling moms, don't let your kid play running back.
No. That's crazy, man. All right, Corey, let me ask you this. DeAndre Hopkins, so it's ramping up, which, surprising this time of year. I'm assuming both sides want to get it done before the draft. But they said trade talks are ramping up for receiver DeAndre Hopkins. Where do you see D-Hop end up and why?
That's tough. Like I looked around the NFL. You've got a 30-year-old wide receiver on a bad contract. And I pulled it up. His cap hit this year.
Here's a bad contract.
$30 million. His cap hit next year, $26 million. And his dead cap hit would be 11. So if you trade for him, he's terrible and you want to get rid of him, you're still stuck with 11 million on your cap. Like that contract is awful. And I get why Arizona wants to move on. So, and you throw in the fact that the last 2 years he hasn't been able to stay on the field, plus had a suspension for PEDs.
Yeah.
And the word is Arizona isn't looking to just offload him. They're trying to posture like they want a first or something in return, which is kind of crazy. And I assume just posturing, but look, normally I would say this is the type of deal that New England might do, where you can get a good player for cheap, but it doesn't look like Arizona is wanting to just get rid of him. And again, I don't know who's wanting to pay a 32-year-old wide receiver $26 million of your cap next year. The only other team that I really thought about was maybe the Jaguars. If you're the Jags, you've got your quarterback on his rookie contract. You're in a down division, and maybe you double down now and try to make a run with Trevor Lawrence while he's still on that rookie deal. And maybe Hopkins can provide enough for you for the next 2 seasons that it's worth it. But it's without having a quarterback on a rookie deal. If you're paying your quarterback top dollar and then having to pay Hopkins that kind of money, I don't think you're going to be paying anyone else. Because I saw the Chiefs were reportedly interested, but how is that cap number going to fit with Kansas City? There's a reason why they let Hill walk.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, the Jags was the only team that kind of made sense to me when looking around stuff when it came just based purely on the numbers of Hopkins.
So I kind of agree with you. It's going to be hard. I can see the Patriots maybe. Only thing with the Jags is Calvin Ridley's coming back. I think he signed a big contract, and they got Evan Ingram, and they got Zay Jones, and they got Christian Kirk. I don't think they have room for DeAndre, but I see what you're saying with the money. which makes sense. The only other team is the Patriots, but the Patriots don't really pay people. So I want to see where they're going. Cleveland just traded, right, for
Elijah Moore
from New York. So he's still on a rookie deal. And they got Donovan Peoples-Jones, and they have Amari Cooper. I would like to think he's going to go somewhere. He's mentioned he was following the Cowboys. That stopped because the Cowboys did a really good deal and got Brandon Cooks, who is pretty durable, and he's going to fit right in with them. I just don't see. That's not how the Giants operate. It's not coming to the Commanders. Philly can't even keep their own free agents. He's mentioning Buffalo, but Arizona's gonna have to take some of that cap hit, and I don't know how. Because that's a lot, man. That's a lot, and the Jets
I could see Buffalo if Arizona ate most of the cap hit, so that the Bills could take him on this year.
Yeah,
but then I don't know how they pay for stuff next year.
But
they could also go all in on this season for it.
They could. Baltimore, no, they can't touch their cap because they with Lamar. Cincinnati, no. Cleveland, no. Pittsburgh, that's not a Pittsburgh type of move. They gotta, their receivers are really good, and I just don't see them stopping the development. That's not the way Houston operates. That's not the way the Colts operate. Jacksonville, probably not. Ridley's coming back. Tennessee's already over the cap, so no, because they got Tannehill's contract. Denver, no. That's not how Sean Payton operates. Kansas City might, but then we don't know about that cap hit. So it's not the Raiders. Chargers don't want to even pay Ekler. That's not happening. The Cardinals are trying to trade him. The Rams, they're in cap hell. San Francisco, no. Why? Seattle, no. Tampa, no. Maybe the Saints, probably not, because they're in cap hell as well. Carolina, no. Maybe I just don't see it. I want to see what team comes out and trades for him. I would like to, but I think that cap hit is crazy. It's going to be very interesting. Craig, what do you think? Where do you think DeAndre Hopkins goes?
I would assume he, at this point in his career, he's getting up there in age. If he has any type of say-so or anything like that, I would assume he wants to go to a team that's has a chance to win. Obviously, looking at a team like Arizona, like Houston, he already played in Houston. He doesn't want to go back there, whatever it is. But I mean, just throwing it out there, say he didn't play for Houston, but they're bad. He wouldn't probably want to go back to Houston, or he wouldn't want to go to Houston. They're not going anywhere. I think he wants to try to at least have an attempt to win a Super Bowl, put himself in position to. The Chiefs and the Bills are the first two teams that came to mind, just because I think the Chiefs definitely could use a wide receiver. They just lost McCall Hartman. They also lost Juju.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I know there's talk about them getting Odell Beckham. Who knows? But, I mean, this will give you at least a legit number one wide receiver that they haven't had since they had Hill. So, and then Buffalo, he wouldn't even have to be the number one. He would just have to just be there.
He would be nasty in Buffalo.
Diggs and Gabe Davis.
Gabe moves to the slot.
Yeah,
man, that's crazy.
It's just obviously, like you guys touched on already, is the cap hit.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. Nobody, I mean, if he was younger, I could understand it, but he's just getting up there in age, and he missed games last year because of the suspension. He missed games the year before because of injury. So, I mean, you're trying to rely on a 30-year-old, about to be 31-year-old wide receiver to be your number one or number two, and he's taking a lot of the a lot of the cap hit. Now, I think Buffalo and Kansas City, they already had their quarterbacks locked up, so that'll be a little bit easier to absorb, I guess. Unless depends on what they have to trade for or what they have to give up. I don't know. Maybe if they're a team on the rise, up and coming, like the Lions, they're in talks with DJ Chark, DJ Chark or DeAndre Hopkins. Obviously Chark is younger and he's taking less money. But if they don't be able to resign him, maybe you could try to get D-Hop. The Lions look like a team that's could be making some noise this year. And not saying they're going to Super Bowl, but have a really good chance of going to the playoffs. Obviously, I know you guys said something about the Patriots, which it wouldn't surprise me if he goes to the Patriots. They just lost their, I guess, number one in Myers.
Yeah.
They got Juju. So, but I don't think Juju's a number one, but you could pair him with Juju and it would at least give Mac Jones another weapon out there because he struggled last year. And they didn't really give him any guys for his first year. They didn't give him anything for his second year. At least this year they went out and tried to, I guess, get something. They lost his running back. They
lost his running back and they lost his favorite receiver.
He does actually have an offensive coordinator this year, though, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He lost his favorite target.
You have to give him
favorite running back.
They have Stevenson there, who I don't know. New England's always been a wishy-washy, like up in the air running attack anyway. They have like two or three guys that you never know what's going to happen. Yeah. So but wide receiver wise, he has Juju, and that's pretty much it. So if they're looking to make a splash, that's obviously there. But man, it's just going to be hard for them to get out of that, for any team to want to deal with that contract and deal with that age. And his reliability, like you never know if he's going to get hurt or whatever it is at 30 years old. So I'm just hoping it's not the Panthers. I think I read something a while back or something like that. I could be wrong. They were interested or whatever, but I think that's kind of died down. Yeah. But obviously they need a wide receiver, but they've already traded so much that I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't know, man. He's I don't know who wants to deal with that.
Yeah. It's just that contract. I think he said he's, trying to rework it. He hired an agent to do it. So,
if he would be willing to take a big pay cut.
Yeah.
That would open the doors a bit, but
or if the Cardinals were willing to take on some of that.
Well, I'd say that would be a solution for this season, but then you still got the 20-something million that he's 26 is owed next year.
Is it possible if he trades, could he rework it? Maybe
I guess it would be at this point in his career, how much does he want to win? Like how much of a priority is winning versus getting your money?
Yeah. Because at this point, because in order to win, he's going to have to take some kind of pay cut, I think. Or, damn, man, that's crazy. All right, so we were talking about this earlier off camera. And this Lamar, okay, so now it's starting to come up a little bit. Folks have now, the Mercedes like to tweet, but nobody knows this time of year. It's just everything is up in the air. Unless you were sitting at the combine next to coaches tampering and GMs, you don't really know what's going on. That's what the combine. That's why they're never getting rid of the combine, Greg, because it's not really for the players. It's literally for coaches and GMs to get together and talk about trades. I think so. What they were not supposed to be, but they are. So that's what I think it is. So now reports are coming out that the Patriots may sign Lamar Jackson. Now, here's the thing. I know they have Mac Jones, but if they keep Mac Jones next year, in that AFC loaded, heavy first round pick quarterbacks that are in the AFC, and it looks like 2 more are going to be there this year. It's very difficult. Now, Mac Jones is a first round pick. I like Mac Jones. I think that he's reached his ceiling. Like if he was on the Commanders, I think we would have made the playoffs this year. I think he's the Kirk Cousins. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with that, guys. You know, I just don't think he's the barrel of the Allen or Mahomes, which is hard to do, or the Hurts. You know, I just think he's right there. I think he's reached his ceiling already. But I think this makes sense for Belichick to go out big, man. And I think Lamar fits the culture. He works hard. He's not really in the media like that. He always talks about work, winning championships. That's what the Patriots are about. Robert Kraft will welcome him. Bill Belichick will welcome him. I know Belichick has given him praise a lot of times. And then Bill O'Brien's worked with Deshaun. So, it's interesting these are coming out. And I don't really think Belichick likes Mac Jones. I don't think he's a fan of him, which is, I guess, very interesting. Now, if Mac Jones goes to the Ravens and you got that defense with no receivers, I don't think they're surviving with Mac Jones in that division or playing in the AFC East. But if you put the Lamar on the Patriots and they trade for D-Hop and get Lamar, you're talking about a good two-year window that they're definitely going to – because Belichick's always in it. We know this. His teams are at least going to – if they're – okay, they're going to be fighting for the 7th seed, 8th seed every year. But with Lamar, I think they got it. They could win the division. I think Lamar's that dynamic. And I think that would be something great Belichick could retire because with Mac Jones, I just think he's reached his ceiling. And I think that if they have Mac Jones next year, it's going to be a long year. That's all I'm saying. So I think this is interesting. This is very interesting. I would like to. This is different from the Patriots, and maybe this is Belichick saying, "I need a top tier quarterback." Not Lamar's not Tom Brady, but Lamar's won MVP. I don't think Mac Jones ever will. So I think he might be looking like we just said. You need a quarterback to win in this league, and I think that Mo just shared a list, Mo, top 5 AFC quarterbacks. Lamar's in that picture, right? So I would like him. I would actually like the Patriots to do it. I think he fits. Corey, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm with it. It makes sense. I think Mac Jones he's a Kirk Cousins type. That's his ceiling. He's good enough to keep you competing for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I think if you get to a position like you had for a lot of years in New England with that dominant defense and a good running game, he's good enough to not make those critical mistakes that can potentially get you to a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. But in this AFC, you're in the division right now. He's gonna soon probably be the 4th best quarterback in the division. Yeah. So making a big splash, I could see Belichick having a desire to do that, to try to make one more big run to finish out his Hall of Fame career. But is Baltimore really going to trade Lamar to the Patriots? Like I could see the Ravens being willing to move him to the NFC.
Yeah.
Man.
No, Belichick, you're not getting it. You had Tom Brady for 20 years.
Can you imagine how insane that would be with the Ravens sending a franchise quarterback to New England?
That would be a.
I mean, So the move makes all the sense in the world. It could make some sense for Baltimore in that you get either Mac Jones and or Bailey Zapp, or however you say his last name, Zappy, to at least give them somebody that they can put out on the field if need be for week one. But I couldn't fathom the Ravens being willing to make that move.
Craig, what's your thoughts on that? What's it, the Patriots coming out? The Patriots, looking at Lamar. You don't believe it one bit.
I really don't.
Well, at least one team came out. Goodness,
I wouldn't be surprised if they're looking at him. I think there are probably a couple teams looking at Lamar, and it's probably. I thought they would try to do it before the draft, but like you guys said earlier, it kind of makes sense maybe to wait till after the draft, that way you're probably not giving up this year's draft pick, unless they work something out where I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Patriots traded for Lamar, or not traded for, I guess would be had him sign, and then if the Ravens don't match it, I mean that's going to be tough. You've had to deal with that team for years in the early 2000s and mid 2000s, and having to deal with that. Now you have to deal with them again, but now with your ex-quarterback there, I don't know. I think the Ravens would love to see Lamar go pick an NFC team.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a lot easier for him. You won't see him, but maybe once every 4 years or whatever. Obviously, that would probably be the best case scenario for them if they're not going to re-sign him. And from what I read earlier today, it said there was a representative that reached out and said Lamar he wants to move on.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he feels disrespected, or he doesn't feel wanted. So at this point, I don't know if you can really mend it and bring them back together. I don't know. But the Patriots, I think obviously if you had to choose between Mac Jones and Lamar Jackson, it's not even close. I'm picking Lamar Jackson. So as long as you can get him as long as he has a really good defense, I mean, it's going to be kind of the same situation as far as wide receivers go, because there's nothing there. Still, it's kind of just like the same in Baltimore. And the running back is running back by committee or whatever. Just like he's probably gonna feel just right at home with that team, because there's nothing changes.
Exactly.
Got a really good defense, got a really good coach. You got a running back by committee, and you have no wide receivers.
And you got a good tight end.
And the division's tough.
Yep.
Instead of Joe Burrow, you're gonna see Josh Allen now, and then possibly Aaron Rodgers for a little while. Tua's coming along. I mean, so and there's no, I guess, Deshaun Watson, and like it's just, I mean, it's weird. I'm really hoping that I know the Jets are talking about Aaron Rodgers and all that. I'm really hoping that the Jets are not ruled out, because this is getting annoying. The fact that he hasn't been traded yet. Not all, but after them signing who he wanted them to, at least one of the receivers that he wanted them to sign with Lazard, and then they just traded away, whatever reason, traded away Elijah Moore. They need offensive line. The offensive line is not the greatest.
That's a perfect segue into the next topic.
Stop trading stupid people and stop signing wide receivers. Man, you need to do something with whatever. So as far as Lamar Jackson goes, man, I don't know, man. The Patriots wouldn't surprise me, but I mean, man, I think the Ravens are done, man. I don't think he's going back to Baltimore. I think he has to get traded at this point. And I wasn't on that. I was on he was going to resign a couple months ago, but I don't know. It's been too long since the talks have broken down and everything like that. And I don't know, man. It's just a weird situation in Baltimore. But hope he finds a spot, a team that wants him. Doesn't look like anybody wants him right now, but I think eventually somebody's gonna take a flyer on him.
if he goes somewhere like the Patriots or Atlanta after this draft, the Ravens are going to be in quarterback purgatory for a while, man.
The Falcons said they didn't even want him. They were one of the first teams. They put it on their.
Yeah, it was Commanders, Falcons, Panthers. The Panthers were going to trade for the pick, so we know why they opted out. I think it was who else? It was somebody else. It was 4 teams. It was Atlanta.
I don't remember who, but yeah.
I don't remember who, but I think it's going to. I think after the draft, we're going to start hearing more, Craig. I think so. I think. But let me ask you this, because you segue right into it. So now it's the Jets and the Packers. Which team do you think has the upper hand in the trade talks? So I think right now it's probably over the compensation. Aaron said he wants to go there. They signed his OC. They signed Alan Lazard.
I want to say the Packers, just because the Jets are trying to. I mean, obviously the Packers want to get rid of them. But if the Jets are trying to lowball them with the trade, the Packers can just say, "Nah, I want this. I want extra. I want X, Y, and Z. I need that in the package for one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time." Granted, he's getting up there in age, but you want him so bad.
Mm-hmm.
There he is. Because, I mean, obviously, they want to move on. They have a quarterback in waiting. The Jets desperately need a quarterback. I mean, say he doesn't get traded. Then what happens? He's back on the Packers. Obviously, at that point, then you have a decision to make. Do you want to trade Jordan Love, or do you want to just sit Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love's the starter, and now you're sitting a $50 million quarterback?
I don't see that happening.
I don't either, but I mean, obviously, at worst case scenario, you would probably trade Jordan Love at that point. But the Jets are desperately in need of a quarterback. You don't want to trot Zach Wilson out there again after what he did last year and what he's been talking this in the offseason and during the regular season, where he doesn't take accountability or responsibility for anything. But I think the Packers hold all the cards here. I just think they're in control of everything that's going on with this situation. And I don't know what offer the Jets or what the trade talks are going on, but I don't know what offer they're trying to give them, because I don't know what's taking so long. Like, this is Aaron Rodgers said, supposedly came out like 2 weeks ago almost, and said he wanted to play for, which everybody knew. He waited till he got on the Pat McAfee show and came out and said he wanted to play for the Jets. And then all the stories happen, and now it's just like it's just a waiting game. This is stupid. You know what? There's 4 stories in sports I'm tired of hearing about. I'm serious. One of them is Aaron Rodgers. One of them is Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I knew it. Next
one is the Cowboys. And anything that happens with the Cowboys, it's got to take on. Like,
I tried not to talk about them, as you see.
It's like 20. I mean, they just got Brandon Cooks, and it's like, oh my God.
I'm not trying to talk about it.
It was like Get Up and ESPN Sports Center nonstop. I'm like, what? They didn't just go out and sign Tariq Hill or like Jerry Rice. Like, Brandon Cooks is a good wide receiver, but don't put all this hype about it. Anyway, that's another story, and I'm tired of hearing about Dan Snyder and him.
I don't bring him up either.
No. I'll hear about it.
I'm tired of hearing about it.
Driving in on the radio, I hear it. That's both stations. That's all they talk about. But back to the story, I'm going with the Packers holding all the leverage, and I think they hold all the cards right now because they can just turn down any offer that the Jets come back with. And so they feel as though they have a good offer, then yeah, okay, they'll accept it. And yeah, I don't know what's taking so long, but this is an annoying story for me.
Corey, who do you think has the leverage?
I think the Packers do at the moment.
Yeah.
I think the longer this drags out, the more the leverage tilts to the Jets. Because look, Rodgers has said he wants out. He wants to go to New York. I'm sure the Packers are probably saying, oh, we want your one. And the Jets are right to say, we're not giving you a first-round pick for a late 30s quarterback. Like, I just point, but look at Russell Wilson. No, thank you.
Yeah.
The Packers, as Craig just touched on, they can't bring back Rodgers. He has said he wants out. They've all but admitted they want to move on with Jordan Love. They can't bring him back into training camp and have him on that roster. That would be a disaster for the Packers.
Yeah.
If you're Green Bay, you want the Jets picks this draft, not next draft, because they could be a lot later in the draft. And honestly, if you're Green Bay, you want to try to load up as much as you can for Jordan Love to set him up as best as possible for success. So the Packers have an incentive to get this deal done this year before the draft happens.
Yeah.
Theoretically, the Jets can counter, like, either we'll try Zach Wilson back out there, or we'll go talk to Lamar after the draft.
Yep. Yeah.
So the Packers are trying to play hardball. They're trying to get as good a draft pick as they can, but the leverage isn't as strong as the hand they're playing. And they got to be careful, because I think, they don't want to screw up and end up getting a lot less than what they could. Like, just take a second round pick for Aaron Rodgers. Yes, I know it's Rodgers. He's great, but he's on the back end of his career. He's probably got 2 seasons left in his career. And it also, I think,
take a second and conditional.
Yeah. But I think, people around the league look at this too as, how are you treating one of the greats of your franchise's history? Not just a really good player, but one of the best to ever wear your uniform. Like, are you showing him any level of respect at all? Or are you holding him hostage to try to get a pick that's 30 picks higher in the draft? And I do think players and agents both kind of look at that and take notice, and might keep that in the back of their mind when it comes to contract negotiations.
Yeah. I agree with both of you. It's the Packers at the moment. And I am with you, Craig. Lamar and Aaron are dominating the headlines right now. But I refuse to talk about Snyder. I refuse to talk about Snyder because the sale's going to happen, whatever. And I don't want to talk about the Cowboys because they're always talking about the Cowboys. Always. Wait. You haven't heard nothing yet. Wait till after the draft, Cowboys going to the Super Bowl. That's what you're going to hear.
I heard it already. I've already heard it.
Michael Irvin is going to be on TV after his allegation blows over. He's going to be yelling to the high winds in the summertime. You're going to hear it on NFL Network. You're going to hear it on First Take.
They're already saying that.
Damn, they're already saying that? This is early.
I see it on Facebook.
The Dallas News, all there is to talk about is the Cowboys tried to make up for trading away Amari Cooper by trading for a wide receiver that's not as good as Amari Cooper.
They should have never traded Amari Cooper. Anyway.
I'm cowboyed out.
They should have never traded him. But I think that I kind of agree with both of you. They have to be very careful with dealing with this. Aaron Rodgers is the best player, one of the best players. I can say best player in the franchise history, I think, right? And if he wants to go to New York, just let him go, man. Just let him go, get the deal done. They're not going to trade a first, because here's the thing. If you wait till after the draft and the Jets say bump it, we're going to go after Lamar. Are you ready to bring Aaron Rodgers back? Their young receivers don't even like him. And he's not going to show up to any OTAs. And then he's going to show up to training camp. And then you got Jordan Love there. And, you got to trade Jordan Love. Which, I don't know what team's going to take him. But
at that point in the calendar, what value could you end up getting for Jordan Love?
4th.
Maybe.
maybe 5th. Golly, man. They got to make a decision though, because they don't want to. They don't want to push, because if they push and the Jets are like, you know what, screw it. But the Jets did sign Hackett. They did sign Lazard. Aaron Rodgers they met with Aaron Rodgers. So, I hope they get a deal done. It'll be excited to see Aaron Rodgers in the East. The AFC East. It's gonna be brutal, Aaron. It's not like the NFC, man. I usually pick the Packers to be the number 1 seed with Aaron Rodgers, but I ain't picking the Jets to be no number 1 seed. Not in that AFC. Not with Mahomes and Burrow and Buffalo. Nah, sorry. Nah. I think that they got a tough schedule. I think they'll be in the playoffs, but it's gonna be. I just think they both need to get done. Listen, New York is already talking to the fan base. They've already hired Hackett. They've already hired Al Lazard. But I get where they're like, no, we're not giving up a first because we need to rebuild the offensive line. Aaron's probably going to restructure. You got to do probably a second in the conditional. But here's the thing. If the Jets say no and wait, and they don't get Lamar, they're going with Zach Wilson, but then the Packers are going to have Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers might retire at that point. I mean, he might retire and then come back next year. I don't know. I just hope they get this deal done. If Aaron says he wants to go to the Jets, get it done, man. Get it done.
At this point, just trade Jordan Love to the Jets.
Yeah, golly, man. But you gotta be careful because both teams can end up in a situation where they don't want to be. They could both have Zach Wilson entering in the year because they offer Lamar, and by the time, because they've been waiting on Aaron Rodgers, they didn't draft a quarterback. They have Zach Wilson. Mike White is gone. Mike White is gone. And Lamar might get signed by the Ravens. So then
James, that's another part of this. If some fluke, like if the Packers drag this out and wait and let the draft happen, say some fluke happens and Will Levis starts plummeting down the draft board.
They're going to draft
If you're the Jets.
Yeah.
Do you just draft the Will Levis or maybe even a Hendon Hooker and just be like,
Hooker, yeah.
Sorry, Green Bay. We're moving on.
Yeah, well, yeah. And then, oh, man. And then what do you do if the Hendon Hooker goes there? Right? What do you do if you're Green Bay? That's a tough situation to be in.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, the Packers are in a bit tougher spot because under no circumstances can Aaron Rodgers be on that roster come July.
They can't. That'll be a disaster. Yep. It'll be a disaster.
Like Rodgers would likely be openly feuding with the front office publicly. On Pat McAfee show
all year. You're gonna hear it all
summer.
Year. All summer, all year, and then that's just going to seep into the locker room. And at that point, it's a lost season at that point.
And at what point does Aaron Rodgers start to push the issue to try to push the Packers to be in a position where they have to cut him?
Yeah. Like, cut me. And then, see, it gets crazy. So they got to work something out. So, all right, guys, we ended this live stream. We're going to see y'all next week. Everybody.